Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Jeanette Byro here. I'm a medium and a channeler, and welcome to your weekday daily card reading where we dive into the cards, see what's in store with a message from Spirit. How was your weekend? How was your week last week? Thank you to all of you who left beautiful comments and just shares. Your energy is beautiful, so thank you so much for that. Now, a couple things this week. First of all, many of you commented on the sound. Some of you said the sound was fine and some said they couldn't hear anything. The things that are within my control was I was waiting on getting a new microphone, which I have here, and a new cable hookup, which I have. So the sound should be fine. I have tested it. So if you're noticing that the sound is not right on your end, I would look to your settings, whether that be YouTube volume settings or something like that, because when I load YouTube, I ensure that I can hear it, and if there is any kind of sound thing, I will make a note of it to you in the video saying, hey, this is broken. Hey, I'm using a different earpiece today because whatever. So all to say, thank you for your comments, but the sound should be fixed. That should be fine. So now we can carry on. Second thing, I broke my finger this weekend. And funny thing is my daughter was like, Mom, are you going to be able to use your cards? And yes, I can. So I'm pretty happy about that. What else? The podcast comes out today, so check out the podcast. It's a great one. It's about nourishing your mind, body, and soul, and really how we can use food for that. It's a beautiful interview with a beautiful human, so definitely check that out as well. You can listen to that here on YouTube or on any audio platform, and it's called the Jeanette Byro Podcast if you haven't yet heard it. All right, now getting into this week. What do we have this week? Last week was a really powerful, deep, emotional, energetic week. And wow, were the numbers ever on fire. Threes of, like three numbers of things, like 111, 777, 555. I know Spirit had mentioned that earlier in the week, and it was so neat to see how, even though I had done those readings beforehand, what Spirit was saying was literally what was happening for many of you and for me as well. So cool how our guides in the spirit world can really see the greatest, highest probability before we get there in our linear timeline. It's so cool. So this week I'm using the Awakening Avalon Oracle deck that we created at Avalon Spirit. If you are interested in this deck, you can click on the link in the description box below. But let's see what Spirit has to share this week. Let's do a tune in here real quick. Full circle is one of the things they're saying. So we had seen that with the World card a bit last week. Completions. But this is interesting. So something about this one coming full circle, it is in a sense a completion, definitely. But it's also like, I want to say more of a full circle on the spiral of ascension is kind of how I'm seeing it. So sometimes as we're ascending, we move through traumas and triggers, we heal them, and we move forward. And then every once in a while, they come around again, and we're like, what? I thought I dealt with this. But then when we let ourselves sit with it, we realize we're dealing with it from a very different perspective. And that's that like spiral ascension staircase. So what I'm getting here is I feel with what they're showing me, we're moving up another layer on this spiral staircase of ascension. So some of you may be noticing some things that are coming full circle, but it's simply to show you where you're at now, how so many of you have taken a big step up, maybe in how you move through things, maybe in how your body heals. You name it. There's a very noticeable step up in your ascension, and that's really what Spirit is wanting to mention. So let's see what the cards say here. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yes. So first card out we have is Swan Dive, Be Daring. Now this is what's really cool, is oftentimes when we get to that piece coming full circle, it's like we've prepped, we've gone up the mountain, we've come back down, and we've come back down to this valley where we then get to like dive into the lake, right? We've finished doing our journey, we've come back, now we get to dive into the lake. but we're diving into the lake with new perspective, right? So you have new insights, new perspectives, new awarenesses that are very much running through your whole being, and it's worth sharing them. And so what's really neat is that comes with this next card, throat chakra. And this one says, speak your truth, right? So yeah, they're telling me to look at the imagery, and I get it. So if you look at this card first here, this guy has climbed up the mountains and he's come back down. And in the mountains, he has learned lessons from the trees, from nature, from Gaia, from, the elements, however deep you want to take it, or maybe just ponderings as he was walking, right? So he's learned his lessons. And now this throat chakra card, they're saying, look at the trees and take note of the imageries. They're saying, speak of what you've learned, share what you've learned, express who you are now because of what you've learned on your journey, whatever's come full circle. Now it's time to be that, but express it. So maybe for some of you, in a very simple sense, you're like, I want to create art. I really want to. I've always wanted to. I've always been too shy, but something has come around again where I have an opportunity for an art class, or I have time to pick up some paintbrushes. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it, right? That's your expression. Others of you, it might be speaking something you know, or speaking up about something. What's interesting is for some of you too, I'm getting this boundaries card again. And we saw this last week, I believe. And so the boundaries for some of you on your pondering journey, you've realized where you need to set boundaries, either with other people or even yourself, kind of boundaries with your own ego. So maybe you don't fall into a victim mentality. Maybe it's boundaries with something new you want to start. Maybe it's walking every day. And so you kind of have, in a sense, like a boundary of, if I am sitting all day, I have a boundary of after 8 hours, that's enough. I will get up and I will do something, right? So this boundary can be many different ways, and boundaries don't always have to be kind of seen as a negative, but rather like, again, an expression of your truth. And it can be a really beautiful thing. Setting a boundary can actually be a beautiful, peaceful thing, because it's a moment in which you're willing to stand up and speak for who you are, speak a resonance about who you are. And maybe it's even something as simple as, you have a barbecue to go to and you're happy to go to it, but you always feel you have to stay super late because you should, and there's an expectation and all this, which takes away from your fun. But what if you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to set up a boundary, and at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be okay to say, I got to go. I'm really tired. I've got work early in the morning, whatever it may be. And you peacefully set that time where you then don't have to overextend yourself based on a should, and you get to respect and express your personal truth. And oftentimes we gain those insights of personal truth when we spend time on a journey, on an adventure, pondering, especially being at one with nature. I know my experience this last week in nature, literally doing this, has been beautiful and profound, right? And so many things to share that I will over the next little while. So something to be said for something coming full circle, and you expressing it, you setting boundaries in all of the ways you need to, with that is really going to be beneficial. Now, the last piece is to help reinforce this. Spirit is saying, create sacred space. Okay. This card says, honor yourself in the divine. And so when you create a sacred space by either setting up boundaries, creating sacredness in your environment, maybe even what you wear. Like for me, I was like, I'm feeling a connection to my crystals. So I purposely picked this necklace because of the stones in it, right? Like it's an expression of me. It's creating my sacred space. So consider what that looks like for you, the ways in which you can do that, honor yourself and honor your connection to the divine. Because when we come full circle on something, it's really like a ending of a chapter and beginning of a new one. They're telling me it's more like a graduation, kind of like a graduation into an entirely new phase. So I will leave that with you all for today. Happy Monday. I'm losing my voice. Too much yelling on the weekend, I think, in a good way. But I will leave that with all of you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.